Hey there, Hydrohaven fam! I'm super excited to dive into today's topic because honestly, is there anything more magical than taking dead, lifeless dirt and transforming it into rich, crumbly, amazing soil that plants absolutely love? I've been obsessed with soil restoration for years now, and I can't wait to share my favorite methods with you all. Whether you're dealing with a sad, neglected garden plot, or trying to bring some life back to that compacted clay in your backyard, these 5 approaches have been total game changers for me and countless other gardeners in our community. Okay, I know some people think I'm a little weird for getting this excited about dirt, but hear me out. When I first started gardening, I was all about the plants. I'd buy whatever looked pretty at the garden center, stick it in the ground, and then wonder why half my plants struggled or died. It wasn't until I had this massive aha moment that everything changed. Healthy soil creates healthy plants. Period. End of story. Once I shifted my focus to building amazing soil, everything in my garden improved. My tomatoes went from sad to spectacular. My flowers bloomed like crazy. Even my lawn perked up. So trust me when I tell you that the time you invest in your soil will pay dividends for years to come. The absolute first thing I do when restoring sad soil is focus on bringing back the life. You guys, 1 teaspoon of healthy soil contains more microorganisms than there are people on Earth. How mind-blowing is that? These tiny heroes are the real MVPs of your garden, breaking down organic matter, creating nutrients, protecting plants from disease, basically running the whole show. My favorite way to jumpstart this underground party is with amazing compost tea. It's like a probiotic smoothie for your soil. I make mine in a 5-gallon bucket with an aquarium pump bubbling away for about 24 hours. I use a handful of the best compost I can find. Homemade is gold, but good quality store-bought works too. Add a tablespoon of unsulfured molasses to feed the microbes and let it brew. The smell tells you when it's ready. It should smell earthy and sweet, kind of like a forest floor after rain, not stinky. If it stinks, something's gone wrong. I literally dance around my garden while applying this magical elixir, knowing I'm introducing billions of beneficial microbes with every splash. Focus on the root zones of plants, and apply in early morning or evening when the sun isn't too intense. Those little microbes don't appreciate being baked. Guys, I cannot emphasize enough how important mycorrhizal fungi are in this process. These incredible fungi form these beautiful, intricate networks that connect plant roots together and essentially extend the plant's root system exponentially. I add mycorrhizal inoculant directly to the planting hole whenever I'm putting in new plants. It's like giving your plants a superpower. I've seen stunted peppers double in size within weeks after inoculation. The best part? Once you get this soil life thriving, it becomes self-sustaining as long as you don't disturb it too much. This is why I'm so passionate about minimal tillage. Every time you till, you're basically creating an earthquake, hurricane, and tsunami all at once for these soil organisms. Their houses get destroyed, their food webs get messed up, and they have to start all over. So please, put down the rototiller, your soil buddies will thank you. Y'all, if you're not using cover crops yet, prepare to have your gardening mind blown. I was so late to the cover crop party and now I can't stop talking about them because they're literal soil saviors. The transformation they create is almost magical, and they do all the work while you just sit back and watch. What I love most about cover crops is how multifunctional they are. They're not one-trick ponies. They're like the Swiss Army knives of soil restoration. Take my absolute favorite crimson clover. Not only does it fix nitrogen from the air, free fertilizer people, but it also produces these stunning crimson flowers that pollinators go crazy for. The root systems break up compacted soil, and when you cut it down, you've got this perfect mulch layer right where you need it. It's like hiring a whole team of soil workers who pay you instead of the other way around. Last year I had this sad corner of my garden where nothing would grow. The soil was like concrete, totally dead. I threw down some daikon radish seeds almost as a last resort. 3 months later, I had these massive radishes punching through the hardpan like little soil-busting superheroes. When winter came, they froze and decomposed right in place, leaving these perfect channels for water, air, and roots. This spring, that same spot grew the best lettuce I've ever had. That is the power of cover crops. For small spaces, don't think you can't use cover crops. I plant buckwheat in any spot that's open for just 4 weeks. It grows insanely fast, flowers within about 30 days, and then you can just chop it down and leave it right there. The bees get nectar, your soil gets organic matter, and you get the satisfaction of watching something grow ridiculously fast. Instant gratification, anyone? My favorite cover crop cocktail for seriously depleted soil is a mix of cereal rye, hairy vetch, crimson clover phacelia, and daikon radish. Together, they fix nitrogen, break compaction, attract beneficials, produce tons of biomass, and generally work miracles. I get so excited watching them grow, knowing what they're doing for my soil. Okay, I have to confess something. I used to be terrified of soil chemistry. All those numbers, ratios, and elements felt like advanced science that I wanted nothing to do with. But then, I discovered how fascinating it is to address specific mineral deficiencies and watch plants respond. The game changer for me was getting a proper soil test. Not those little pH kits from the garden center, but a comprehensive test that looked at everything. I was shocked to discover my soil was super low in calcium but high in magnesium, which explained why my soil stayed so compacted even after adding tons of organic matter. Once I addressed that imbalance, it was like the soil could finally breathe. Now I'm kind of addicted to remineralizing soil. My friends laugh at my excitement over rock dust, but you guys will understand. There's something so satisfying about knowing you're restoring the full spectrum of minerals that have been depleted over time. I use azomite, which stands for A to Z of minerals, including trace elements. How cool is that? I use it on pretty much everything. It's like a multivitamin for your soil. For calcium deficiencies, which are super common, I use eggshells from my kitchen. I collect them, let them dry, grind them into powder in an old coffee grinder, and sprinkle this homemade calcium dust around my tomatoes and peppers. They love it, and it prevents blossom end rot. Plus, there's something deeply satisfying about completing that kitchen-to-garden cycle. Greensand is another mineral superhero I'm obsessed with. It's actually an ancient seabed deposit, so it's packed with all these amazing trace minerals that our soils have lost. Plus, it helps sandy soils hold water and helps clay soils drain better. How can you not love something that multifunctional? The best part about mineral balancing is that once you get it right, you don't have to do it nearly as often as other amendments. It's like building a solid foundation for your soil health that everything else can build upon. Seriously worth the initial investment. When I first heard about biochar, I thought it was just another gardening fad. Boy, was I wrong. This stuff is like the secret weapon of soil fertility that's actually been used for thousands of years. The ancient Amazonians created terra preta, or black earth, using biochar, and those soils are still incredibly fertile today. How mind-blowing is that? The first time I made biochar, I was hooked. There's something primal and satisfying about transforming wood waste into this incredible soil amendment that will literally last for centuries in your soil. I started with a simple TLUD, or top-lit upward draft, stove made from 2 metal cans. Watching the clean burn and ending up with this lightweight, porous black material feels like pure alchemy. But listen up, because this is crucial. Raw biochar straight from a burn is not ready for your soil. I made this mistake early on and actually stunted my plants. Biochar needs to be charged first because it's like a sponge that will soak up nutrients. I now mix mine with compost, worm castings, and a splash of fish emulsion, then let it sit for at least 2 weeks before using it. This preloads it with nutrients and beneficial microbes so it can hit the ground running. The magic of biochar is in its microscopic structure. Under a microscope, it looks like a tiny apartment complex for microbes, with millions of perfect little pores and cavities where beneficial bacteria and fungi can live protected from predators. It's like creating permanent real estate for your soil microbiome. Plus, it holds water during drought and nutrients during heavy rain, releasing them slowly exactly when plants need them. I've used biochar most successfully in my vegetable beds, adding about 10% by volume when first establishing the bed. My test plot with biochar consistently outperforms my control beds, especially during our hot, dry summers. The plants are more resilient, need less water, and just look happier overall. And knowing that carbon is sequestered in my soil for potentially thousands of years gives me this amazing feeling that my garden is actually helping fight climate change in its small way. If there's one soil building technique that makes me do a happy dance every time, it's deep mulching. I call my approach lasagna gardening on steroids, and it has transformed some truly awful soil into gardening gold with minimal effort. Who doesn't love that combination? The first time I tried this, I was facing a patch of hard-packed clay that broke shovel handles and made me question my life choices. Rather than fighting it, I decided to build up. I started with a layer of cardboard right on top of the grass. No digging, no tilling, just smothering what was there. Then I went a little wild collecting organic materials, fall leaves from my neighbors. They thought I was nuts until they saw my garden the next year. Grass clippings, coffee grounds from the local cafe, aged horse manure from a nearby stable, and shredded paper. I layered these materials like a giant garden-sized lasagna, making sure to alternate browns, carbon-rich, and greens, nitrogen-rich materials. The pile was about 18 inches high when I finished, and I admit I was a bit skeptical. But I planted right into it, adding little pockets of compost around my seedlings, and holy moly, you guys, the plants loved it. As the materials broke down, the soil underneath completely transformed. Worms moved in by the thousands, the clay started to crumble instead of clump, and the garden practically took care of itself. What I love most about this method is how it mimics what happens in nature. Think about a forest floor. Layers of leaves and organic matter accumulate on top, gradually breaking down and building soil from the top down. No one's out there tilling the forest. This approach harnesses the same natural processes but accelerates them. My favorite mulch materials now are partially decomposed wood chips. Fresh ones can rob nitrogen as they break down. Shredded autumn leaves, maple and oak are gold. And comfrey leaves from my garden edges. Comfrey is like a dynamic accumulator superhero, mining nutrients from deep in the subsoil and concentrating them in its leaves. I chop these leaves several times a season and use them as a nutrient-dense mulch around heavy feeders like tomatoes and squash. They break down quickly and give plants a noticeable boost. The transformation that happens under a deep mulch system is nothing short of miraculous. Soil that was once lifeless becomes this beautiful, crumbly, sweet-smelling living entity that plants absolutely thrive in. And the best part? Once you get this system going, it becomes increasingly self-sustaining, requiring less and less input from you over time. Here's the thing about these 5 methods. They aren't meant to be used in isolation. They work best when combined. I think of them as different members of a soil restoration band, each playing their own instrument but creating beautiful music together. My typical approach to severely depleted soil starts with deep mulching to quickly add organic matter and smother weeds. Simultaneously, I brew compost tea to introduce beneficial microorganisms. As the deep mulch begins to break down, I plant cover crops in any bare spots, focusing on nitrogen fixers if the soil is particularly poor. Based on soil test results, I add specific mineral amendments focusing on correcting major imbalances first. And throughout the whole process, I incorporate charged biochar to create permanent structure and habitat for my soil microbe friends. The beautiful thing about this integrated approach is that it creates a positive feedback loop. As soil life increases, organic matter breaks down more efficiently. As mineral balance improves, plants grow stronger and contribute more to the soil food web. As cover crops fix nitrogen and add biomass, the soil's capacity to support more diverse life expands. It's like conducting a symphony where each section makes the others sound better. I cannot tell you how satisfying it is to grab a handful of soil that you've restored and feel its perfect crumbly texture, smell its rich earthy aroma, and see it teeming with earthworms and beneficial insects. It's like holding a handful of life, and knowing you helped create it is the best feeling in the world. So please don't be intimidated by soil restoration. Start with whatever method resonates most with you, observe how your soil responds, and gradually incorporate the others. Document your journey with photos and notes. You'll be amazed at the transformation over just a season or two. Your plants will be healthier, more resilient, and more productive. You'll need fewer inputs over time, and you'll develop this incredible connection to the living earth beneath your feet. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into soil fertility restoration, please hit that subscribe button for the Hydrohaven channel.